The bustling airport terminal hummed with activity, a cacophony of human emotion. Amidst the chaos, a familiar face emerged. Melania Trump, poised and elegant. Suddenly, an employee's grave error shattered the routine. The air crackled with tension as onlookers held their breath, anticipating the worst. A recent study revealed that 63% of travelers experience high stress at airports. But what unfolded next defied all expectations, leaving witnesses stunned. As the scene played out, it became clear that this encounter would challenge everything we thought we knew about celebrity reactions and the transformative power of compassion in the most unexpected places. The airport terminal pulsed with the frenetic energy of a Monday morning. Travelers surged through the vast space, their faces a canvas of emotions. Security lines snaked endlessly, growing longer with each passing minute. Harried business people tapped their feet impatiently, while parents struggled to keep their children entertained. Amidst the chaos, one traveler stood out. Jake, a first-time flyer, clutched his boarding pass with sweaty palms. His eyes darted nervously from the security checkpoint to the departures board, uncertainty etched on his face. The psychological effects of airport stress were on full display, not just in Jake, but in the tightened jaws and furrowed brows of those around him. Airport staff moved with practiced efficiency, their faces etched with exhaustion. They processed an average of 2.9 million passengers across U.S. airports each day, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. At security checkpoints, travelers fumbled with shoes and laptops, their movements clumsy under the watchful eyes of TSA agents. As the morning wore on, the ebb and flow of travelers continued unabated. Reunions and farewells played out in equal measure, a constant reminder of the human stories unfolding within these walls. An elderly couple embraced their granddaughter, tears glistening in their eyes as they prepared to say goodbye. The monotony of the morning was suddenly disrupted by a ripple of whispers that spread through the crowd like wildfire. Heads turned, and conversations halted as a familiar figure entered the terminal. Melania Trump, former First Lady of the United States, stepped into view, her presence immediately drawing attention. Her arrival was unexpected, a stark contrast to the carefully orchestrated public appearances of her past. Gone were the flashing cameras and Secret Service agents that once surrounded her. Instead, she moved through the terminal with a quiet grace, her designer luggage a subtle reminder of her status. As Melania made her way towards the security checkpoint, the atmosphere in the terminal shifted. The previously frazzled travelers seemed to pause, their own troubles momentarily forgotten as they watched her progress. Even the most jaded New Yorkers couldn't help but steal glances at the former First Lady as she joined the queue like any other passenger. One particular employee, a young woman named Sarah, felt her heart rate quicken as Melania approached her station. Sarah had been working at the airport for just 6 months, and the stress of the job often left her feeling overwhelmed. As she locked eyes with Melania, Sarah's hand trembled slightly, the weight of the moment settling upon her shoulders. Sarah's heart pounded as Melania Trump approached her station. The former First Lady's presence seemed to make the air thicker, the noise of the bustling airport fading into a muffled hum. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she reached for Melania's designer luggage, her mind racing with a mixture of awe and anxiety. As Sarah began the routine security check, her eyes kept darting back to Melania's face. The glamorous woman stood poised and patient, a stark contrast to the frazzled travelers around her. Sarah's thoughts flashed to her first day on the job, when she had fumbled with an elderly woman's walker. The memory of that embarrassment paled in comparison to this moment. In her distraction, Sarah's elbow bumped against the conveyor belt control. The sudden jolt sent Melania's bag sliding faster than usual. Sarah watched in horror as the expensive luggage teetered on the edge of the belt, its polished surface catching the fluorescent lights before it tumbled off the end and into the large waste bin used for discarded items. Time seemed to slow as Sarah realized what had just happened. Her mouth went dry, and a cold sweat broke out on her forehead. She had just thrown away Melania Trump's bag. The very thought made her stomach churn with dread. Around her, gasps and murmurs erupted from the crowd of onlookers. The tension in the air was palpable, as if everyone was collectively holding their breath. Sarah's mind raced with panic. She knew the statistics. Airlines mishandled about 6 bags per 1,000 passengers in 2022. But this wasn't just any bag. And this wasn't a typical mission. This was Melania Trump's personal belongings, likely filled with designer clothes, expensive cosmetics, and who knows what other valuable items. As the reality of the situation sank in, Sarah's mind raced through possible scenarios. Would she be fired on the spot? Would Melania throw a fit, demanding to speak to her supervisor? The stories of celebrity tantrums she had heard over the years suddenly felt all too real and terrifying. Sarah's gaze slowly lifted to meet Melania's eyes, bracing herself for the storm that was surely about to break. To her surprise, Melania's expression was unreadable. There was no immediate outburst, no dramatic gestures. Instead, the former First Lady stood still, her eyes fixed on Sarah with an intensity that made the young employee want to disappear into the ground. The onlookers leaned in, smartphones at the ready, anticipating a spectacle. A tense silence fell over the security checkpoint, broken only by the distant announcements of departing flights and the soft beep of metal detectors. In that moment, as Sarah stood frozen in fear, and Melania remained eerily calm, the airport seemed to hold its breath. The next few seconds would determine not just the fate of a lost bag, but potentially Sarah's career and Melania's public image. The terminal fell silent, a stark contrast to the usual cacophony of announcements and rolling luggage. All eyes were fixed on Melania Trump, her perfectly coiffed hair and designer outfit suddenly at odds with the chaotic scene unfolding before her. The air was thick with anticipation, like a rubber band stretched to its limit, ready to snap at any moment. Sarah, the young airport employee, stood frozen, her face a canvas of fear and regret. Her hands trembled visibly, and a sheen of sweat glistened on her forehead. The weight of her error pressed down on her shoulders, threatening to crush her dreams and aspirations. Melania took a deep breath, her composure unwavering. Her eyes, usually guarded, softened as they met Sarah's panicked gaze. The crowd watched, mesmerized by her calm demeanor. Some leaned forward, phones at the ready, while others shifted uncomfortably, torn between curiosity and empathy. The faces in the crowd told a story of conflicting emotions. A businessman nodded approvingly, while a mother hushed her curious child. An elderly couple exchanged worried glances, their own experiences with public scrutiny evident in their furrowed brows. As Melania approached Sarah, the power dynamics became glaringly apparent. Her steps were measured, deliberate. Her shoulders relaxed, hands open at her sides rather than clenched in anger. It was a posture that defied expectations, a silent rebellion against the anticipated storm. The crowd leaned in, straining to hear. Sarah's lower lip quivered, her eyes darting between Melania's face and the floor. The tension in the air pulsed with each passing second, a living entity feeding on the collective anxiety. And then Melania spoke. Her voice was soft but clear, carrying easily in the hushed terminal. "It's okay," she said, her accent lending a musical quality to the words. "We all make mistakes. Let's see how we can fix this together." The effect was immediate and profound. Sarah's eyes widened in disbelief, her rigid posture melting like ice in the sun. The onlookers exchanged glances of surprise and admiration. This was not the reaction they had expected, not the drama they had anticipated. Melania continued. her tone warm and understanding. "I've had many stressful days in airports too. It's not an easy job you have. Now, can you tell me what happened, and we'll work it out?" As Sarah began to explain, her voice growing stronger with each word, the atmosphere in the terminal shifted. What had been a potential flashpoint for conflict transformed into a moment of unexpected grace and humanity. The rubber band of tension relaxed, leaving in its wake a sense of shared relief and renewed faith in human kindness. The terminal held its breath, suspended in a moment of collective anticipation. Melania's voice, soft yet clear, cut through the tension like a gentle breeze. "Sarah," she began, addressing the trembling employee by name, "I see how hard you're working. This job isn't easy, is it?" The unexpected warmth in her tone caused Sarah's eyes to widen in disbelief. As Melania continued to speak, her words seemed to cast a spell over the crowded terminal. "We all have days where everything seems to go wrong." As Melania's words sank in, Sarah's lips quivered with the effort of holding back tears of relief and gratitude. The onlookers, who moments ago had been poised for drama, found themselves witnessing a masterclass in empathy. Phones that had been raised to capture a potential celebrity meltdown were slowly lowered. Their owners, too captivated by the unfolding scene to remember why they'd raised them in the first place. As Melania and Sarah began to discuss solutions, the atmosphere in the terminal underwent a palpable shift. A businessman in a crisp suit, who had been barking into his phone moments earlier, ended his call with a quiet, "I'll call you back." His eyes, like those of many others, were fixed on the unexpected scene of compassion playing out before him. Conversations began to spring up among strangers, their voices hushed but animated. "Did you see that?" a woman whispered to her seatmate. "I never would have expected—" Her voice trailed off, lost in contemplation. The terminal, which minutes ago had been a pressure cooker of stress and impatience, was transforming into a community united by an unexpected act of kindness. As the situation with the misplaced bag neared resolution, the crowd held its collective breath. They had witnessed something rare and precious, a moment where humanity triumphed over status, where kindness diffused tension, and where understanding bridged the gap between strangers. The final words Melania spoke to Sarah left everyone in earshot stunned into silence, their impact rippling through the terminal like a stone cast into still water. As Melania's words faded into the bustling terminal, a subtle shift rippled through the crowd. The air, once thick with tension, began to soften. Travelers, who had been laser-focused on their destinations, now paused, their attention captured by the unexpected scene of compassion. A businessman in a crisp suit, who moments ago had been barking orders into his phone, now stood silent. A mother softened her tone with her children. The change was palpable, as if Melania's act had punctured the bubble of stress that often envelops busy airports. Near the security checkpoint, a TSA agent who had been brusquely directing travelers now took a moment to make eye contact with each person, offering reassurance to those who looked nervous. The line, which had been a source of frustration, now moved with a sense of calm cooperation. Not everyone was immediately swayed by the shift in atmosphere. A middle-aged man, his face creased with irritation, continued to mutter complaints about the long wait times. But as he watched others around him respond with kindness, his scowl slowly softened. Languages mixed as people struck up conversations, sharing travel stories and offering advice. A sense of community began to emerge in a place typically characterized by anonymity and haste. At the baggage claim, a woman struggled with several heavy bags when two strangers simultaneously offered to help. Her look of surprise quickly turned to gratitude as they worked together to manage her luggage. As the hours passed, the effect showed no signs of diminishing. Instead, it seemed to gain momentum. Airport staff reported a noticeable decrease in complaints and an increase in positive interactions, even as new travelers entered the terminal, unaware of the initial incident. They were quickly enveloped in the atmosphere of goodwill. By evening, the airport's transformation was evident to all. Where once there had been a cacophony of irritated voices and hurried footsteps, now there was a hum of friendly chatter and considerate gestures. It was as if Melania's compassionate response had reminded everyone of their shared humanity, transcending the usual barriers of status, culture, and circumstance. The next morning, as the sun rose over the airport, the staff arrived to find the positive atmosphere still lingering. Travelers who had witnessed the previous day's events shared stories with newcomers, creating a ripple effect that continued to spread. The airport, once a place of stress and impatience, had become a testament to the power of a single act of kindness. The airport terminal buzzed with newfound energy as news of Melania Trump's unexpected act of kindness spread. Conversations erupted between strangers, their voices a mix of excitement and disbelief. Near security, businessmen huddled together, momentarily forgetting their laptops. "I never thought I'd see the day," one mused. "A celebrity actually behaving like a decent human being." Not everyone was convinced. A woman remarked to her companion, "It's probably just for show. I bet she has a whole team of PR people telling her what to say." Yet uncertainty crept into her voice, as if she wanted to believe in the authenticity of the moment. Social media exploded with first-hand accounts and reactions. Hashtags like Melania Moment and Airport Kindness started trending, with users sharing their own experiences of unexpected kindness in high-stress situations. Dr. Marcus Chen, a social psychologist specializing in public influence, offered his perspective. "What we're witnessing is a powerful example of social modeling," he explained. "When a public figure demonstrates such compassion, it challenges our preconceptions and invites us to reconsider our own behavior." The impact became increasingly apparent. A flight attendant shared her observations. "I've been working here for 15 years, and I've never seen anything quite like this. People are actually smiling at each other, helping with bags. It's like the whole atmosphere has shifted." Small acts of kindness multiplied throughout the terminal. A young man offered his seat to an elderly couple, while a mother struggling with a stroller found herself surrounded by helpful hands. Each gesture seemed to carry the echo of Melania's initial act of grace. As the day wore on, the impact began to extend beyond the airport. Local news stations picked up the story, interviewing witnesses and exploring the broader implications. Dr. Amelia Rivera, an expert in conflict resolution, appeared on a morning show to discuss the potential long-term effects. "What happened in that airport terminal is a perfect example of how a single act of kindness can create a ripple effect," Dr. Rivera explained. "Studies have shown that witnessing compassion can actually increase levels of oxytocin in observers, promoting feelings of trust and bonding." The incident sparked deeper conversations about the role of public figures in shaping social norms. Online forums buzzed with debates about responsibility, authenticity, and the power of leading by example. Many expressed hope that this moment would inspire other celebrities and politicians to embrace a more compassionate approach to public interactions. As evening fell and new travelers entered the terminal, the atmosphere of goodwill showed no signs of dissipating. Those who hadn't witnessed the original incident found themselves swept up in the unusually positive environment, their own stress melting away in the face of unexpected kindness. As the sun rose on a new day, the ripples of Melania's kindness had grown into waves, crashing against the shores of public opinion. The airport incident had transformed into a national conversation, with news outlets buzzing and social media exploding with hashtags. Laura Chen, a seasoned journalist for the Daily Chronicle, found herself grappling with an unexpected assignment. "I've covered Melania Trump for years," she confided to her editor. "But this story, It's making us all question our assumptions. Her words echoed the sentiments of many as the nation reassessed its perception of the former First Lady. The media landscape shifted from surface-level celebrity coverage to more nuanced explorations of character. Personal accounts from those present at the airport began to surface. Mark Thompson, a businessman who witnessed the event, shared on a podcast, "I've always been cynical about politicians and their spouses, but seeing Mrs. Trump in that moment, it was like watching a mask fall away. There was no pretense, just raw, genuine compassion." The incident sparked broader discussions about empathy in society. Schools incorporated the story into their curricula, using it to teach students about kindness and understanding. Workplace seminars on conflict resolution saw a surge in attendance, with many citing the airport incident as their inspiration. Dr. Rachel Goldstein, a psychologist specializing in public perception, offered her insights. What we're witnessing is a moment of authenticity in an age of carefully curated public images. It's forcing us to reconsider not just Melania Trump, but all public figures. The impact extended beyond discussions of individual character. Community leaders seized the moment to highlight the importance of compassion in everyday interactions. Local initiatives promoting random acts of kindness sprang up across the country, each one a small tribute to the power of a single moment of grace. As the initial media frenzy subsided, a more nuanced narrative emerged. People started sharing their own stories of unexpected kindness, creating a tapestry of human connection. The incident had become a touchstone for discussions about the kind of society people aspired to create. Yet, amidst the wave of positivity, skepticism remained. Critics argued that one act of kindness shouldn't erase years of public scrutiny. The debate raged on, a testament to the complexity of public perception and the enduring power of first impressions. Despite varying opinions, one thing was clear. The airport incident had offered a glimpse into a side of Melania Trump that few had seen before. It challenged the notion that public figures could be neatly categorized, reminding everyone of the multifaceted nature of human personality. The airport terminal buzzed with newfound warmth as Melania's kindness spread. The businessman engaged in friendly conversation, while the grateful mother shared her snacks. Leonard, who had offered his seat, bonded with an elderly couple over jazz. In the following weeks, the impact grew. Schools used the story to teach empathy, while companies launched kindness initiatives. This moment had become a catalyst for change, demonstrating how compassion could transform entire communities. As Melania later reflected, it's the connections we make that truly matter. Her simple act had sparked a movement, proving that even small gestures of kindness can create lasting ripples of change, touching countless lives beyond the airport's walls.